Well, a very good afternoon. The G20 group meeting focusing on AI and the digital economy comes to an end after an interesting 4 days where conversations have gone from digital public infrastructure to the artificial intelligence and the endless opportunities it presents in terms of job creation, alleviating of poverty, and upskilling our young people for the AI future. I'm joined this afternoon by Motibi Ramusi, who is a chairperson of ICASA. Mr. Motibi, with this growing technology and digitalization and new systems coming to place in terms of AI, what regulatory systems are there going to be in place to ensure the safety of those that partake in such an industry?
Thank you very much. I think firstly, let me say I'm quite excited that as a regulator, ICASA, we've been invited to come and exchange views with the experts. Now, AI, as many of us know, before one can even talk regulations, you need to have a policy framework that will guide you on what are the principles that we need to regulate. Now, in South Africa, the good thing is with AI, it's going to give us an opportunity to do things efficiently and more effectively because we're dealing with big data. So from an analysis point of view, when you analyze data, you need superpower computing, which then from a regulatory point of view will need money in terms of funding. And the type of skills are totally different from what we have at the moment because we need data miners, we need data scientists and data analysts. So for us as a regulator, as I've said earlier on, it becomes then important to understand how then should we collaborate with many other institutions of a similar nature. Because when we talk AI, there's issues of ethics in terms of what kind of information is communicated back to you. So we need to make sure that when you regulate, you build trust for those that are going to be consuming the information. We're dealing again with protection of the very same data. So as a country in South Africa, we've already started a collaboration with other sister regulators, Film and Publication Board, Information Regulator, and the .za Domain Authority. The intention, having identified that there are quite a number of things that are going to happen even on online platforms. How do we then safeguard and protect your children, ourselves as adults? So, and knowing that AI, amongst many other things, can still be used, obviously, to instill wrong information, to communicate wrong. So we need to make sure that from a regulatory point of view, the protections sits at the central of everything that we do.
And like you said, for AI, because it's such a huge world of information on a system, it's also important going to be for young people because you have a lot of young people that want to get into that space now. So you're saying it's equally important that as much as want to get in, ethics and the protection of young people is also put in the forefront.
Yeah, I think especially for the young ones, because, people talk about, when you talk analytics, it's about how do you do proper frames and how do you then approach issues from a language point of view. Because remember, AI is not just about tech, it's about balancing innovation and, as I said earlier on, in terms of trust. So for the youth, it's one new area of an exciting space where, as an analyst, you can then bring that whole strategic thinking and be able to design some models. Because if you know situations that are different, we always say to the young ones, they know situations. Now the question is, how do you then take areas, environments, make them very easy for one to adapt? So from the youth point of view, I think for me, it's an area that I'm going to see a lot of growth, not only in South Africa, but the whole world.
Speaking about the world, the beauty of the G20 is that you've had a chance to interact with other countries to see what regulations they've put in place, they've done well in their countries. Which countries have you seen that are doing well in terms of regulation, especially in terms of the ethics and the protection that you were speaking of earlier on?
Yeah, currently, obviously, we've been tracking all over the world. I mean, the European Union, I must say that there is a framework that guides the European bloc itself. So, and I think it's more about how people respond to AI. So as a country, it's a working in progress. We were still doing our own research. And as I indicated earlier on, we need to have a policy framework that should guide ICASA at the moment. But in terms of who's doing it, I think the European Union for now, I mean, we've heard now even from Singapore, we've heard from India, There are frameworks that have been put, especially for the public sector, which then gives me confidence as a regulator that we're not going to be working in a vacuum. At least there are other sister countries within the G20 that can guide us on how to approach the issue of regulation, but obviously from a policy point of view.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Well, that was the chairperson of the ICASA, Mr. Mutibi Ramusi, speaking about the regulations that are linked to AI, saying that it's exciting times when AI systems are being introduced, skills are going to be transferred to young people to prepare for the AI future. But he says the first and the key thing to making sure that AI functions in any country is having systems in place, is having policy frameworks in place to regulate and to ensure that the AI space is both ethical and also safe, in particular for young people. But for now, let's go back to the studio.